What if I told you that 88% of Americans are secretly doing something sexually that they won't admit to their closest friends? And at number 4, I'll reveal what 82% of men do privately that might be killing their bedroom performance. Do you enjoy having sex? Of course we all enjoy sex, but what sexual activities are Americans really engaging in? Hi, I'm Dr. Rachel Morgan, urology and men's health specialist. I help men boost performance, safeguard their prostate, and feel amazing at every age. Today, I'm breaking down the top 10 sexual behaviors Americans actually practice based on a massive nationally representative study. Whether you're curious or want to understand what's normal, stay tuned because some of these findings will absolutely shock you. Before diving into the top 10, let me explain where this research comes from. Scientists studied over 2,000 adults, 975 men, and just over 1,000 women from across the U.S. who completed an online survey. The survey was confidential, and researchers worked to recruit people reflecting U.S. demographics by age, gender, race, and other factors. This study used stratified random sampling, ensuring accurate representation across all major demographic groups, making it one of the most scientifically rigorous sexuality studies ever conducted. Participants answered questions about their sexual behaviors, what they find appealing, and their relationship status. This survey gave us an incredible snapshot of what Americans are doing and what they're into. Important note, 91% of respondents were heterosexual, so these results might not apply to everyone. Let's dive in. The top 10 activities Americans are really into. Number 1, vaginal sex. Not surprising, this is the most common activity. 88.5% of men and 91% of women have engaged in vaginal intercourse and do it regularly with partners. From a urological perspective, this makes complete sense as vaginal intercourse is the most natural and physiologically straightforward form of sexual expression for heterosexual couples. Number 2, masturbation. Over 80% of men and women report masturbating in their lifetime. In the past month alone, 64% of men and 41% of women masturbated. Research in the archives of sexual behavior shows masturbation releases oxytocin and endorphins while reducing cortisol, improving mood and immune function. Masturbation, for some reason, really gets people worked up and emotional. I've addressed this topic extensively in my clinical practice because patients often have serious concerns about frequency, technique, and whether their habits are normal or healthy. From a medical and scientific standpoint, masturbation is absolutely and completely normal and represents healthy sexual behavior. Multiple research studies published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine demonstrate that regular masturbation can actually improve prostate health in men by helping flush out potentially harmful bacteria and old cellular material, reduce stress hormones significantly, and help maintain optimal sexual function throughout life. There's no perfect or universally right answer to how often masturbation is appropriate. Individual needs vary enormously. But as long as it's not interfering with your daily life, work responsibilities, relationships with others, or causing any physical harm or discomfort, it's perfectly healthy behavior. Regardless of personal opinions about masturbation, the statistical reality is that the vast majority of people participate in solo sexual activity for pleasure, stress relief, and better sleep quality. It's also an incredibly important way for people to understand their own bodies, discover what brings them pleasure, and learn about their sexual responses without partner pressure. Number 3, oral sex. Giving and receiving oral sex is extremely common with over 80% of men and women participating. I get many safety questions. Yes, you can get STIs from oral sex. Gonorrhea, chlamydia, syphilis, herpes, and HPV can transmit through oral contact. If you're unsure about your partner's STI status, use condoms or dental dams for protection. The key is open communication about testing and sexual health before any sexual activity. Number 4, watching sexually explicit videos or pornography. 82% of men and 60% of women admit to watching porn. Pornography is controversial, and I address it frequently because it impacts sexual expectations and performance. Neuroimaging studies show excessive pornography consumption alters brain dopamine pathways, potentially requiring more extreme stimulation for arousal. Similar to addiction patterns. From a clinical perspective, occasional pornography use isn't necessarily harmful for most adults. However, excessive or compulsive use can lead to unrealistic sexual expectations, significant performance anxiety, and in some cases, erectile dysfunction, particularly among younger men who started viewing at early ages. Research studies demonstrate that men who consume large amounts of pornographic material may experience decreased penile sensitivity and require more extreme or intense stimulation to achieve arousal and orgasm. This can create significant problems and dissatisfaction in real relationships with partners. The key is moderation and maintaining a realistic understanding that pornography is not an accurate representation of real sexual relationships. Real intimacy requires genuine communication, patience, emotional connection, and mutual pleasure rather than performance or achieving unrealistic scenarios. Number 5. Wearing sexy lingerie or underwear for partners. More popular among women, 75% admit doing this. However, 26% of men also choose underwear specifically for partners. This is fantastic. It's an easy way to build anticipation, show relationship effort, and add novelty. Psychologically, making appearance efforts for partners boosts confidence and helps maintain sexual interest in long-term relationships. It shows your partner they're worth the effort, which can be incredibly arousing. Number 6. Sending or receiving nude or semi-nude photos. This made me nervous because in our technology age, you must be careful who you send intimate photos to. You never know where they'll end up. But people are doing it. 65% of men and 54% of women have sent or received nude photos. I assume this represents consensual sharing between trusted partners and not unwanted or non-consensual image sharing, which is both illegal and extremely harmful. From a safety and privacy perspective, I always strongly advise my patients to be extremely cautious about this practice and consider the long-term implications very carefully. Relationships can end unexpectedly. Phones and computers get hacked regularly, digital accounts become compromised, and intimate images can resurface in unexpected and embarrassing ways years later. If you choose to engage in this type of digital intimacy, make absolutely certain it's with someone you trust completely and implicitly. Consider not including your face or other easily identifying features like distinctive tattoos or jewelry, and understand that once you send any digital image, you permanently lose control over it and where it might eventually end up. Number 7. Reading erotic stories. 57% report reading erotic stories. Data suggests women prefer reading erotic stories over watching explicit videos. This makes psychological sense. Women's arousal is often more mental and emotional than visual. Great idea for partners with women. Consider sharing erotic literature that might stimulate her interest. Maybe read together and discuss liked or disliked scenarios. This opens communication about desires and fantasies non-threateningly. Number 8. Sex in public. About 43% have had sex in public at least once. From patient conversations, especially city dwellers, there's often limited privacy. Living in small apartments with family or roommates makes private space challenging. There's also psychological thrill and excitement of potentially getting caught. However, from a legal standpoint, I must emphasize that public sexual activity is illegal in most jurisdictions and can result in very serious legal consequences. Depending on local laws and specific circumstances, public sexual acts can result in charges for public indecency, disturbing the peace, lewd conduct, or even sex offender registration in some cases. The risk versus reward ratio needs to be very carefully considered before engaging in any public sexual activity. Legal consequences can be life-altering and permanent, affecting employment opportunities, housing options, and personal relationships for years to come. Number 9, anal sex. 43% of men and 30% of women report having anal sex. The anal area contains over 4,000 nerve endings per square inch, making it one of the most nerve-dense body areas, explaining why stimulation can be so intense. Urologically, anal sex can be very pleasurable due to numerous nerve endings. For men, prostate stimulation through anal contact can be extremely pleasurable. For women, the anal area is close to clitoris and other sensitive structures. However, anal sex requires special preparation. Proper lubrication is essential because the anus doesn't self-lubricate like the vagina. Go slowly. Use plenty of high-quality lubricant. Ensure the receiving partner is relaxed and comfortable to prevent tears or injury. Never go from anal to vaginal contact without thorough cleaning. This causes serious bacterial infections. If interested in exploring anal sex, take time, communicate extensively, and prioritize comfort and safety over everything. Number 10, spanking. About 30% have tried spanking or being spanked during sex. Neurological research shows pain and pleasure send similar brain signals, particularly to sexual arousal areas. Endorphins released during mild pain enhance sexual pleasure, explaining why BDSM practices became mainstream. If exploring this, communication and consent are essential. Never spank without explicit prior discussion and agreement. Even if you're asking to be spanked, ensure your partner feels comfortable. Start gently, establish safe words, and both partners must feel completely comfortable. Bonus number 11, role-playing and light kink. About 22% admit to role-playing, 20% report being tied up, and playful whipping is practiced by 13%. These activities are more common than you think. If you know 10 people, at least 1 to 2 have experimented with role-playing or kink, completely normal and healthy. Role-playing excellently explores fantasies safely, adds excitement to long-term relationships, and lets you step outside normal persona controlledly. As long as it's consensual and both parties enjoy themselves, nothing's wrong with exploring these interests. Key with any kink or role-playing, extensive beforehand communication, establishing boundaries and safe words, and checking in during and after experiences. Additional bonus activities, threesomes. 18% of men and 10% of women admit to threesomes. Group sex, sex parties, and BDSM parties are experienced by less than 8%. These are definitely niche activities requiring very high communication levels, trust, and sexual confidence. For those considering group activities, discuss boundaries extensively beforehand, ensure everyone's tested for STIs, and establish clear rules about acceptable activities. These situations can be emotionally complex and may impact relationships unexpectedly. Researchers also found activities many find interesting related to sexuality, but aren't necessarily sexual acts. Romantic behaviors like cuddling and kissing appeal to both men and women. This reinforces that intimacy isn't just sexual acts. It's about connection, affection, and emotional bonding. Men are statistically more likely to find anal sex, group sex, and watching explicit videos appealing, but most still rate these as not particularly appealing. This shows while men might be more open to certain activities, they're not constantly seeking them. Women are more likely to find romantic movies, couples massages, and vibrators appealing. None of this is shocking clinically, but highlights different ways men and women approach sexuality and intimacy. People are interested in a variety of sexual activities, and there's no single normal way to express sexuality. What's most important is that whatever you explore is consensual, safe, and enhances rather than detracts from relationships and well-being. Hopefully you found this helpful, either realizing you're not alone in interests or discovering many ways to explore intimacy with partners. All these activities need open, honest communication foundation. You cannot try something new without thoroughly discussing with your partner first ensuring they're completely comfortable, feel safe, and everything's consensual. Surprise sexual activities are never appropriate and can damage trust and relationships. Medically, I encourage approaching sexuality with curiosity, respect, and patience. Sexual exploration should enhance relationships and satisfaction, never create pressure or anxiety. If you're having communication difficulties, performance issues, or sexual health concerns, don't hesitate speaking with healthcare providers. Many sexual concerns have medical solutions, and there's no shame seeking professional help, improving sexual health and satisfaction. Remember, good sexual health is an important component of overall health and well-being. Care for sexual health like any other health aspect, with attention, care, and professional guidance when needed. One final tip for men watching. If you want improving erections naturally, boosting blood flow, and supporting sexual stamina, I highly recommend trying high-quality watermelon extract supplement rich in L-citrulline. Clinical studies show L-citrulline increases nitric oxide production, relaxing blood vessels, improving circulation, and helping achieve and maintain stronger erections. I'll link my top recommendation in the description below. Thank you for watching.